1960s were the glory days of Trans Am racing. One of the most glorious drivers of that decade was Jerry Titus. He also was an accomplished writer and editor of Sports Car Graphic magazine.
Many fans
Marketing, sales, and service for Ford Motor Company.
I am so honored to be here to recognize one of the real legends of Trans Am racing, and also one of the legends for our team at Ford, Jerry Titus. He was much more than a championship race car driver. Jerry was also an incredibly gifted person who possessed so many talents beyond his driving. He was an accomplished musician who attended the Juilliard School of Music in New York City. He also was a very respected journalist. What most people don't know about Jerry is that before he became a famous driver and a journalist and a musician, he also was a great car builder. In fact, he put together a Maserati chassis out of a plumbing tube and put a 3-liter Maserati engine in it, and Carroll won one of his early races in the car at Lime Rock. And frankly, that was a connection that served Jerry well over his career. You know, back to Chip's point, in the 60s, racing really captured people's imagination. In a way, frankly, almost like the space race did. It was like the big three fighting it out every weekend. And you never knew what you'd find. But the breakthroughs in speed and braking and damping, they were just amazing to watch for all of us fans. Almost like, as I said, the Gemini and Apollo space race. But Jerry Titus and the drivers of that era, they were tough, they were gritty, they were courageous competitors. And they had to endure unbelievable tests. And beyond it all was to win for something greater than yourself. It was for the greater cause. They were advancing our industry, the OEM industry, one race at a time. And they got a bunch of kids like me hooked on racing and automobiles. And unlike today, they race production cars. And the lessons we learned at companies like Ford, we put into the next products in the next model year. As a driver, Jerry enjoyed instant success. In '63, he placed 3rd in Sebring in a Sunbeam Alpine. He went on to debut at the Cheetah Chevy in Riverside. But in 1965, Ford got really serious about performance with Carroll Shelby's help. We got serious about the GT350R, and we had a journalist event that was very important for Jerry. But he was attending as a journalist, as the technical editor for the Sports Car Graphic. And Carroll invited him to attend a testing session with Ken Miles. And after Ken was finished demonstrating the car, Carroll, being always up for a little media attention, said, "Jerry, why don't you get in the car and see how fast you could go?" Well, he took a couple laps, and I guess he was a little tentative, because when he came in, Carroll greeted him, and I talked to Carroll just about the story. He said, "Jim, I remember what I told him. I said, take that damn skirt off and stand on it." Sounds like Carroll. Well, Jerry just did that. He didn't want to back down from challenge. And sure enough, he did 2 laps faster than Kent Miles, who had been racing that car, testing a car for almost 3 months. And Carroll named Jerry the Natural as a result of that test session, and actually hired him to drive. And boy, did we need him. In 1966, the Trans Am competition was really heating up, and it was really close compared to that, the Barracuda and the Mustang. And we needed a win really badly at Ford. So Carroll asked Jerry, the Natural, to bring home our first Trans Am trophy at Riverside. His first race in Trans Am, which he won, and frankly, we won. He campaigned a Mustang in SCCA Division 6, winning the regional and national championship. In 1967, Jerry Titus won the Trans Am Championship, giving Shelby Mustang 4 wins. In '68 and '69, he finished third in both of those years in Trans Am. He also won the Trans Am race at the 24 Hours Daytona in 1968, finishing 4th overall. But he left Ford and he joined a young businessman from Canada, Terry Goodsell, to race some Firebirds. And actually, with a skeleton crew, they won the 24 Hours Daytona in 1969 as well, and they finished 3rd overall. You know, I've heard someone once say, an original is always really hard to find, but they're really easy to recognize. And Jerry Titus was definitely an original. The natural lives on, and the history he gives to all of us, and his records on the track and off. And his legacy lives on his family, and especially his son Rick, who's an accomplished race car driver, a journalist, and also a great partner for Ford. On behalf of the 200,000 employees at Ford and all the global officers at Ford, I am so thrilled for the Titus family, for Jerry Titus to be recognized in this significant way. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, it's pretty interesting. I grew up with a number of people in this room, and my father still has, despite his passing, a lot of friends in this room who knew him very well. I'll tell you, as hardened race drivers, there's a lot of scary moments of driving a race car. But I gotta tell you, having been around this sport and this business my whole life, it's much scarier to see this many good race drivers this well dressed. All I can say is the men's warehouse is gonna be a busy place tomorrow, man. A lot of stuff going to be going back. You know, it's pretty honest about it. My dad was not a glamour boy. I understand today you got to be kind of pretty, you got to be well dressed, well spoken, and willing to tolerate some pretty stupid questions from certain levels of media, people outside of our business. He was not one who suffered fools well. For those of you who knew him, EFRs in the room, Elliot and my dad, has known me my whole life. Bill Simpson, good friend of my dad's in the room. McGrath, who knew my dad, was a teammate of my father's in stock cars. They all knew him as the gritty guy. And to that end, I feel obligated to represent him honestly. So I would request that you open up your program and go to page 24. And let me just give you a little bit of honesty about what you're seeing recorded there. The very first thing you'll see under his name is a black and white photo of my father. You'll know instantly he was not a slave to fashion. When my dad spent $1.50 for a haircut, he expected a full haircut. He did not really lay awake nights. And as much as Bill wanted my dad to make his suits look good, even Simpsons couldn't make my dad look too squared away. Below that photo, you'll see the number 61.